If you want to put together the best solar power system in 2024, then you need to choose the best solar panel, the best inverter, and the right battery for your needs. But there's no more important decision than choosing the right contractor. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the major decisions that go into putting together the right solar power system, and make sure that you watch till the end because I'm going to be teaching you about red flags to look out for so you don't get stuck married to the wrong contractor. The smarter way to go solar. All right, now in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to put together the best solar power system. The 6 things that you need to consider when choosing the right solar panel for your home system. But before I get into the first point, I would like to take a step back and just remind you that when you're looking at choosing a solar panel for your system, the solar panel itself is actually the least important equipment choice that you need to make. The most important choice you want to make in terms of hardware is which inverter platform or which inverter ecosystem do you want to be operating on, because it's the inverter platform that's going to directly impact features, functionality, reliability of the system, as well as how you interface with the system, because that's what's going to be providing your monitoring app. So as of this recording, the top 2 inverter platforms are Enphase with their IQ8 microinverter system, as well as SolarEdge with their SolarEdge home system based on the DC optimizer. So I would say choosing the right inverter platform is the number 1 most important equipment choice, followed by choosing the right battery if you're going to be doing a battery backup with your solar system. And so choosing the right solar panel itself is really the 3rd most important decision, because frankly, in terms of functionality of the system, choosing a different solar panel is not really going to affect functionality. It might affect a little bit efficiency and how much roof space we have to use, but it's not really going to affect the functions of the system. Anyway, now that we have that out of the way, so if we're looking at choosing the right solar panel, what are the factors that we need to consider? Now, the first one you want to consider, of course, is the aesthetics. Do you like the look of this solar panel? If you're installing a solar panel system on your home, especially if the panels are going to be visible from ground level, you want to make sure that you like how the solar panel looks. Now, back in the day when I got started in solar, it was very common to use silver frame panels and what were called polycrystalline cells, which are like a lighter bluish colored solar cells. But pretty much everything now in terms of residential solar panels has gone to the all black on black design. Black frame, black cells, and black backsheet. So when you look at the solar panels on the roof, it should just look like a sheet of black glass on the roof. You shouldn't see like little checker marks or little grid lines. Everything should just be a consistent black aesthetic. That's what most homeowners are demanding today. So if you're getting a proposal for a solar power system, make sure you check the spec sheet, or at least see photographs of that particular make and model of solar panel installed. There are still some installers out there that are installing silver frame panels or panels with a white backsheet. Usually it's just to save cost a little bit. But again, if you're thinking about putting this on your home, you're going to have to look at it every day. Make sure that you choose a solar panel that you're okay with how it looks. Now, coming in at number 2 is the cost, right? I mean, a lot of the decision about whether or not to invest in solar has to do with how quickly the system pays for itself. I mean, what is your return on investment? And so getting a solar panel with a competitive price per watt is going to be a factor that you want to consider. And by the way, when you look at cost, you want to look at cost per watt, not cost per panel, right? Because really what we're talking about is cost per unit of energy production or cost per unit of power output. That's going to help you get a more apples to apples comparison on the solar panels that you're choosing. So if you have 2 solar panels that you like, one has a significantly lower price per watt, you may want to go with the lower price option. Now, not all solar panels are created equal, and I'm going to teach you a couple of other factors that allow you to get into more of the technical details of it. But if you're just looking for a basic, how am I going to get the best ROI on my solar system, look for a solar panel with a good competitive price per watt. Now, the 3rd thing you're going to want to consider is the warranty of the panels. Just about all Tier 1 solar panels are going to have a 25-year warranty. However, you're going to want to look to see if the warranty covers power output, or does it cover power output and what's called product. What that means is the physical integrity of the product, is that also guaranteed, or are they just guaranteeing the electrical power output? Back in the day, it was pretty common to have a solar panel that had a 25-year warranty, where the 25 years was only covering power output and you were only getting 10 or 12 years on the product or on the mechanical. which really doesn't make any sense, because basically what that was saying is, well, we're only going to guarantee the solar panel is going to hold up physically for 10 or 12 years, but in the chance that it does hold up longer than that, we'll guarantee the power output out to 25 years. Didn't really make any sense for consumers. So now most of the manufacturers have gone to a bumper-to-bumper, either 25 or 30-year warranty guaranteeing product and performance. However, some premium solar panel suppliers are also offering a service warranty or a labor warranty. And what the labor warranty means is that in the unlikely event that the original contractor that did the installation is unable to swap out a defective panel, the panel manufacturer will, at their own expense, pay for somebody else to come and swap that panel for you. So premium solar panels, or what we might call premium solar panels in today's competitive landscape, will typically offer some kind of a labor or service warranty. The top two brands that come to mind are REC and Maxeon, that have a labor warranty as part of their solar panel guarantee. So that's something to consider as well. All right, so now we're getting into more of the technical aspects of the solar panel selection. The number 4 consideration is module efficiency. Now, module efficiency is the easiest way to compare apples to apples at how space efficient the solar panels are at capturing sunlight and converting to electricity. Just looking at the solar panel wattage does not really tell you a whole lot in terms of efficiency, because what a lot of the manufacturers have done recently is they've just started making the panels a couple of inches wider or a couple of inches taller, and so that since they have more surface area of the solar cells, they can achieve higher watts per panel. Doesn't mean the panels got any more efficient, it just means you need to use more roof space. But if you want to get an apples to apples comparison of how one solar panel compares to another in terms of conversion efficiency, then module efficiency is your way that you can cut through all that noise. Now, as of this recording, we're in December 2023. A standard or kind of a middle of the road module efficiency is going to be right around 20%, whereas a premium solar panel is going to give you somewhere of 22% or higher. And so it might seem like a small difference, 20% versus 22%, but basically what we're saying is a premium solar panel is going to give you 10% more power output out of the same roof surface. So if you're designing a system and you have limited roof space to work with, it might make sense to pay a small price premium to get a solar panel that's going to give you 10% more power out of the same roof area. So module efficiency is the one to look for there. Now, the 5th factor you want to consider is the degradation rate. Now, when we talk about degradation rate, what we're talking about is each year that the solar panel is in service, it's going to lose a small percentage of its performance each year. Now, a standard solar panel loses about 0.5% per year, and out in year 25 at the end of the warranty, you're typically going to see 80 or 85% of initial rated power guaranteed from a standard panel. Now, a premium solar panel is generally going to have a degradation rate of 0.3% or less, could be even 0.25% per year or less, which means that instead of losing 0.5% of its production per year, it's only losing about 0.25% per year. And so if you extrapolate that out all the way to year 25, a premium panel is going to have at least 90% of initial rated power. Some of the top brands are guaranteeing 92% of initial rated power all the way out in year 25. So when you have a solar panel that degrades at a slower rate, what that means is you're able to capture more energy harvest over the lifetime of the system. So again, if you have an opportunity to get a premium solar panel that does not have a super premium price increase, right, that offers you a lower degradation rate, it may be worth it to pay 5 or 10 cents or even 15 cents a watt to get that better solar panel, because over the life of the system, it's actually going to produce more usable energy for you. So that's why degradation rate is important. And then the last factor is the temperature coefficient. Now, just like solar panels lose a certain amount of performance with age, they also lose a certain percentage of their performance when they have to operate in extreme high temperatures. And so what the temperature coefficient is it's what's the percentage of power lost per degree Celsius above the ideal temperature. Now, when we're talking about solar panel standard test conditions, the ideal temperature is 25 degrees Celsius or about 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you'll have temperature characteristics on the solar panel that show you what percentage of power is lost for each degree Celsius above that ideal temperature. So as of this recording, I would say a standard solar panel is going to have a temperature coefficient of about 0.35% per degree Celsius, where a premium solar panel, or at least premium in this particular area, is going to have a degradation rate of somewhere around minus 0.26% or minus 0.24% per degree Celsius. The lower that number is, the better the solar panel is going to perform during extreme heat or in extreme heat conditions. So the lower the temperature coefficient, the better that panel is going to perform in extreme conditions, which again boils down to more total energy harvested over the lifetime of the system. Today's video here, where I'm going to be teaching you 5 things to consider when choosing the best solar inverter for your solar project. Now, when we talk about inverters, every solar system that's hooked up to the electric grid needs an inverter. And what the inverter does at its core, it's converting direct current DC electricity, which is what natively comes off of solar cells as well as from batteries, and it converts it into alternating current electricity, which is what our homes are wired for and what the electric grid is wired for. So every solar system that hooks up to your home or hooks up to the grid has to have an inverter or has to have inversion happening at some point in the system. And there's 2 main ways that is accomplished. One is with what's called a central inverter system. And with a central inverter system, pretty much all of the solar is sent down to one central inverter appliance, which is typically mounted at ground level near your electric meter. And that single device does all of the DC to AC conversion for the entire system. So it's one central point of conversion that's called a central inverter or a string inverter. The other architecture is the microinverter architecture. And the microinverter architecture, as the name sort of implies, you have a small inverter, a micro inverter, that's attached to each individual solar panel. So instead of having one central unit where the conversion happens in one place and could potentially fail, right? If that unit fails, you could potentially lose the power output for the whole system. The microinverter architecture basically distributes it to each solar panel. So each solar panel has its own individual inverter. That way, if one fails, the other inverters in the system should remain functioning so you don't have a total system loss. And that is typically what it comes down to, is there's this trade-off of lower cost and efficiency with a central inverter system versus increased resiliency and redundancy with a microinverter system, because you're kind of eliminating that central point of failure. So that's the first thing that you're going to want to consider, which architecture makes sense for you. And as you're considering it, you really want to look at what is the overall ecosystem or the overall platform that is being offered by your inverter manufacturer. Because in today's market, it's not just the inverter that you're purchasing. What you're really doing is sort of choosing a platform that the entire system is going to be operating on. And that platform typically includes the inverter, your monitoring app, your load control, if that's part of the solution. It's going to determine whether or not an electric vehicle charger can be integrated into the system, and if so, at what level. It may also determine what type of batteries you can use with your system, as well as if you have a generator hookup option as well. And so what I'm going to be talking about is some of the pros and cons of each in today's video here. Okay, first, let's talk about battery backup. Installing solar with battery backup is becoming more and more popular for a couple of reasons. For those of you that are in California, the main reason is that there is no more one-for-one net metering buyback. And so whereas you used to be able to sell any excess solar that you didn't need in the home during daylight hours, you could just sell the solar back to the power company at a full price credit and then just pull back in what you need during the evening at that same equal price credit. Well, now it's about a 4-to-1 discrepancy of the buy rate versus the sell rate. So instead of selling back to the power company at a discounted rate, what most Californians are choosing to do is to charge a battery with any excess solar power that they have and then just power the home off the battery at nighttime, so you don't have to do as much buying and selling back and forth. Now, if you're looking for an inverter that allows you to do battery backup, the question of a central inverter, or what's known as a lot of times a DC coupled system, versus an AC or microinverter based system can have more impact. Because as I mentioned earlier, solar cells, solar panels, and batteries are all natively DC direct current devices. And so it's more efficient if you can take solar panel or your solar panel output in direct current format and send that directly to the battery in direct current format, that'll be a much more efficient battery charging than if you have to convert DC to AC on the roof and then convert AC to DC back at the ground to charge the battery. So, right, these are conversion losses. Every time you have a power transformation or a conversion, there's a little bit of loss. It's never a 100% efficient process. And so the idea is, if you want to make use of battery storage with your solar system, a direct DC to DC solar to battery connection allows you to do that. That's also important now as we're seeing electric vehicle chargers become part of the mix for solar. Even bidirectional electric vehicles, where you can not only charge the vehicle from solar, but in some cases you can pull energy out of the vehicle to either sell back to the grid or to provide emergency backup power to the home. So again, if that is a capability that you're looking for, you might consider the DC coupled architecture the more efficient architecture in that respect. And that is the same as well. Sending direct current directly from your solar panels to an electric vehicle charger will charge that vehicle more efficiently than if there has to be a DC to AC and then back to DC conversion. Same thing applies if you're pulling energy out of the vehicle battery. If you can pull energy out of the vehicle battery in a DC format directly from the vehicle battery to your home's inverter system, then you're only inverting once to provide backup power or self-consumption power into the home. So definitely something to consider here. However, on the AC coupled side of things, like with a microinverter based system, you also have some excellent AC coupled battery options available as well. The top two most popular are probably the Enphase IQ battery, as well as the Tesla Powerwall 2. The Tesla Powerwall 2 is designed to be sort of the most interoperable battery if you're somebody who's adding a battery later to an existing solar system. Whereas the Enphase solution with their new IQ Battery 10 and the IQ Battery 5P, these are AC coupled batteries that can interface with the microinverters operating on the solar array to provide for as efficient as possible AC coupled battery charging, but you're never going to have as efficient as if you can take direct DC from the solar and send it to the battery before any conversions happen. So definitely something to consider here. Another thing that you want to consider is the presence or the potential future presence of a traditional fuel burning generator. Now, many of you who are looking into solar purely for emergency backup and redundancy reasons, many of you choose to have several levers of redundancy. You may have your own solar panels, you may have your own battery backup to allow those solar panels to run off the grid during a blackout, and you may even want a generator hookup option as well as a third level backup. Let's say we hit a patch of really bad weather, utility power's down, the solar's not producing very well because we're having very overcast weather. Well, you may want the option to fire up a fuel burning generator, not to run it all day, but run the generator, let's say for 3 or 4 hours, bring your batteries back full, and then you can go for running another 1 or 2 days off of battery power. So that's another consideration you're going to want to make as you're selecting your inverter, because it's typically your inverter that will determine is a generator input even available. Right now, the top hybrid inverters all offer some sort of a generator input, whether you're talking about Enphase on the Enphase IQ platform or the SolarEdge platform with their home system, or even the SolarArc 15. They all provide some sort of a generator input to give you that additional level of redundancy. Of course, cost is always a factor with any of these decisions. Typically, you're going to find that central inverter or string inverter based systems are going to offer you a lower equipment cost than an AC coupled system. So right now, of the top 3 hybrid inverters that we cover, SolarArc is probably going to be the most expensive on a price per watt basis, followed by Enphase, whereas SolarEdge is probably going to give you the lowest overall price per watt on an equipment basis. So again, you've got to trade off. Am I looking for lower cost? Perhaps willing to trade off some resiliency, some redundancy, or do I want a more distributed system like an Enphase microinverter system where there are more individual components, maybe a slightly higher cost per watt, but you can eliminate that one central inverter point of failure. Well, anyway, folks, the overall trend I'm seeing in the industry is that it is going to an all-in-one solution. So the inverter company pretty much is the central part of that system. And then with that inverter company may or may not include battery storage, load control, EV charger. It pretty much will always have at least the monitoring app, and just having everybody or every system component talking together on that same platform leads to a much more consistent installer and customer experience. There's some exciting new players that are in the space this year. You all have probably seen some of the information we put out about the new Savant power system. Of course, you have the new Point Guard system. Roypow has a new system that they're bringing on the market. Again, all in one manufacturer. Qcells also has their Q Home Core system, which is also an attempt to get everything on one platform. Of course, Qcells, they have their own solar panels as well, right? And as well as their monitoring app. So that's the trend that we're seeing, is really look at the different inverter options that are out there. Choose the platform that offers all the features and the capabilities that you want, and accept that you're probably going to have a much better overall customer experience, whether you're talking about just daily use or from a tech support, customer support perspective. And especially for you installers out there, I think having one phone number to call for tech support and fleet management is also going to help for a lot of long-term maintenance and keeping those systems online. Now, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you 5 things to consider when choosing the best solar battery for your home system. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to look at is power. What is the continuous power rating of the battery, and also what is the peak surge power rating for the battery as well. Now, when we talk about power, and when we measure power, we're talking about watts or kilowatts. A kilowatt is just 1,000 watts. And what this is talking about is how much instantaneous power can I draw out of the battery at any one time. This is going to directly correlate to how many appliances in my home can I run simultaneously when I'm running on battery backup power. So for those of you that are looking for a true whole house backup, including things like air conditioning units, maybe electric ovens, electric clothes dryers, you're going to want a battery that offers high power, or a battery system that offers overall high power if you want to be able to run multiple of those heavy loads simultaneously. Now, the other thing is, what is the peak surge power of the battery? Because oftentimes large inductive loads, which are typically electric motors like air conditioning compressors, typically these type of appliances require a high inrush current for the first few seconds when the motor is first starting up. Sometimes you can even hear that, almost sounds like that kind of like magnetic or electric sound when an air conditioning unit is first starting up. That is the inrush current. And so the higher surge power that the battery offers, the more of that inrush current it's going to be able to provide. And by the way, that typically is the Achilles heel of a home battery backup system, is high amperage motor startup, particularly air conditioning compressors. So if you're looking for a battery that can handle whole house backup with high surge for air conditioning starts, then look for a battery with high surge power. As of this recording in December 2023, the top batteries that come to mind in that area would be the new Tesla Powerwall 3, as well as the Franklin Whole Home battery, as well as the Home Grid battery paired with a Solarc inverter. All 3 of those solutions offer very high surge power. Of course, Enphase's new IQ Battery 5P, they've doubled their surge power from the previous generation. So if you have a system with 3 or more of those batteries installed, you'll have an overall system with adequate for whole house backup with high startup surge capacity. Now, the second thing you're going to want to look at is what is the storage capacity of the battery. In storage capacity, we're measuring that in kilowatt hours. So it's different from kilowatts. Kilowatts is an instantaneous power rating. Kilowatt hours is a measure of total energy usage or total energy storage. So you can kind of think of it as your power rating is like the speedometer on your car. It's telling you how fast you're going at that instant. The kilowatt hour capacity is more like the fuel tank in your car. It tells you how much running time do you have, how much total range do you have. And so that's really what it's telling you, is how much total energy can you store in the battery, and then that's going to correlate to how long you can run your appliances. You know, whether you're running just a small subset of your appliances, what we would call the critical loads, or if you're running a whole house backup, the more kilowatt hours storage capacity you have, the longer you can run that battery system. Now, to put it in perspective, the average American home right now consumes about 30 kilowatt hours of storage per day. So for the average home, if you wanted a system that gave you a 24-hour or a 1 day's worth of running time on a single battery charge, then you want approximately 30 kilowatt hours of battery storage. The third thing you're going to want to look at is the warranty. And this is especially true if you're looking to make use of your battery on a daily basis. So for those of you watching this that are in California under NEM3 or other markets where you intend to take advantage of rate arbitrage, you can charge your battery when it's cheap or charge your battery from solar and then in some cases run off the battery or sell the energy in your battery to the power company when you can do so at a profitable rate, then the warranty is something you really want to take a look at. Look at both what is the warranty in terms of years. Right now, most of the leading batteries are offering a minimum 10-year warranty. I know Franklin offers a 12-year warranty and Enphase just upped theirs to 15 years. What you're also going to want to look at is what is the throughput capacity of the warranty. So sometimes what the battery manufacturer will do is they'll warrant the battery for a certain number of years, but then also up to a certain number of kilowatt hours of throughput, meaning if you charge a certain amount and then drain a certain amount, that is energy throughput in the battery. So make sure you check the fine print to see if you're going to get potentially capped by hitting that throughput limit before you hit the time limit. Now, the fourth thing you're going to want to take a look at is the battery chemistry. Right now, there are two prevalent battery chemistries for home batteries. There's the slightly older lithium NMC, which is used by the Tesla Powerwall 2 and the SolarEdge home battery. And then there's the newer, what's also considered the safer, more durable, lithium ferrol phosphate or lithium iron phosphate, LFP chemistry. The LFP chemistry tends to be a little bit more bulky, a little bit heavier, and a little bit more space that it takes up. But it does, in theory, offer a more durable battery and a battery that runs at a cooler temperature. And so it's preferred for home use because of there being virtually no or much lower threat of the battery catching on fire. So when you look at a lithium NMC battery, the advantages of lithium NMC are it's lighter weight, it requires less unit of volume, right, per unit of energy stored, so it's more energy dense. It also allows for slightly higher surge output, and that's why this chemistry is particularly preferred in electric vehicles where you may need to dump a lot of energy fast to accelerate the vehicle. However, the downside is that the chemistry can overheat, and there have been a few cases of what's called thermal runaway, where basically one of the battery cells overheats, which causes a chain reaction where the whole battery catches on fire. And although it's been very, very rare that that's happened, for that reason, that chemistry is considered not quite as desirable for use in the home. Now, the lithium iron phosphate chemistry, on the other hand, as I said, it's a little bit bulkier and it's a little bit heavier. However, it runs much cooler temperature-wise, and so it's considered the much safer chemistry for indoor use. Also, in theory, is a more durable battery. So if you're intending to use your battery for daily use, where you're going to cycle the battery every day, then the LFP, the lithium iron phosphate chemistry, is considered the more preferable chemistry. And then finally, of course, you need to consider the cost. A convenient way to compare battery cost is actually to do it in a cost per kilowatt hour basis. Since there are many different battery options on the market that are coming in at different sizes, for example, you have Franklin's battery at 13.6 kilowatt hours per battery versus Enphase's battery at only 5 kilowatt hours per battery, if you're looking at the newest model, means that you may need to price compare 2 or 3 of the Enphase battery compared to one of Franklin's batteries to get to a similar cost per kilowatt hour. So the easiest way to do that is just take the total cost of the proposed battery installation, divide it by the total kilowatt hour storage of the battery system, and that will give you a figure in terms of cost per kilowatt hour, which you can use to do a more easy apples to apples comparison between different battery options. However, what you also need to consider is what other parts and what other features and functions make up the solar ecosystem. And when I say the solar ecosystem, what I mean is there's a trend in the industry right now to have everything operating on one platform, on one software, on one app, where it's the inverter that becomes sort of the central part of that system. So you might have a solar edge inverter, you might have an N-phase microinverter system. And then from there, you may add on other components like a battery or an EV charger or a load controller. Or in some cases, they even give you a generator hookup option as well. But one thing you want to consider when choosing the battery is which ecosystem do you want to be a part of? Because what I'm seeing, and I think that the way this is going to go, is that consumers and installers are going to prefer to have everything from one manufacturer. So there's one app for the entire system, there's one customer support number to call for the entire system, and everything is just sort of nicely integrated in speaking with each other. So maybe you want to be on the Tesla platform, maybe you want to be on the N-phase platform, or maybe you want to be on the Solar Edge Home platform. If that's the case, it may make sense to just go with that brand battery, even though technically there are ways that you can interoperate batteries and inverters from different companies. From an overall user experience and an overall installer experience, I think most consumers are going to be best served with keeping everything on one platform. I know that a lot of the encouragement, a lot of the information online would lead homeowners to believe that all solar is pretty much the same and they can shop just based on cheapest price or cheapest price per watt. And I've got to say that nothing can be farther from the truth. You know, when you're investing in a solar project, you're not just buying an off-the-shelf product. What you're really doing is you're purchasing a construction project and a contractor to execute that project for you, and in most cases, a 25-year warranty guarantee that they're going to keep that system online and healthy for you for the entire lifetime of the system. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you the 5 factors that you've got to consider as you select your solar contractor. And the first one is just time in business. You know, solar, just like any business, when the industry is young, there's a lot of companies that want to get into the space because they're very excited. They see a lot of upside and a lot of opportunity. However, the failure rate of those young companies is very high. And so statistically speaking, over 80% of new businesses are out of business within the first 5 years. And so when you're choosing a solar contractor, what you really want to be asking yourself is this the contractor, is this the company that I have the most confidence in that they're going to be a reliable partner over the entire 25 years of the system? And one of the easiest ways to gauge that is simply how long have they been in business? You know, but very simply, statistically speaking, the longer a company has been in business, the more likely they are to remain in business. And of course, again, that's what you want as a reliable long-term partner when you're talking about considering investing in a 25-year asset like a solar power system. Now, the next thing you want to consider is, are they offering different equipment options for your solar system? Now, some solar companies are organized for high volume. They look at the solar as pretty much all the same. Their goal is to get as much glass on the roof as fast as possible so they can then move on to the next project and keep sort of churning through with more solar projects. Now, companies like that, in my opinion, I don't recommend, because not every solar equipment is going to be the best match for you as a homeowner, especially now as we're in 2024, where there's a number of new options that have come onto the market in terms of solar technology, particularly battery technology. I can count at least a dozen new solar battery providers that have entered the market in the past 12 months. And there are some significant differences between the different options. So I don't like to recommend a solar contractor that's only offering you one solar panel or one battery or one inverter. In fact, the way the process should go is your system designer or your sales representative should be interviewing you to find out exactly what your needs and goals are, and then presenting the various equipment options and what they recommend as the best match based on your unique situation. Now, the third thing you're going to want to check, of course, are the online reviews. And although there are a number of games that contractors can play today to sort of hack or get around the online review process or artificially inflate their online reputation, you do want to look at online reviews and make sure that you find reviews that sound genuine, where they can tell a specific story of what the process was like working with that contractor, and where they sound like they would have a positive opinion towards working with the company again in the future and recommending the company to a friend or neighbor. Now, the fourth thing you're going to want to look at is the financial stability of the contractor. contractor. Now, a lot of times this can be difficult to gauge as a homeowner. If you were to, for example, if you were to ask to see the financial statement of the contractor, generally that's not something that the sales representative is going to be able to provide for you. But you want to look for indications that the company is growing steadily, is profitable, and financially stable. Now, one way you can go about doing this is asking the sales rep what is the status of the company's warranty service reserve, or what percentage of income is held in a warranty service reserve. Now, what we're talking about here is cash that's held on each solar project in anticipation of future warranty service that may need to be performed by the contractor. Again, most of these solar systems today are coming with a 25-year guarantee, which means the contractor should be budgeting a portion of their earnings to pay for future warranty service or maintenance expense that's likely to come up down the road. Now, if they can't give you a specific number, or if they sound like they don't even understand what the term warranty service reserve means, that could be an indication that the contractor is not on as financially stable ground as you would like a 25-year long-term partner to be. And the fifth item is to consider third-party warranty insurance. Now, the nice thing about having a third-party solar warranty is that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket as far as the solar contractor's finances. You have typically a much larger, more established solar warranty company that's willing to guarantee the performance of the system. Now, the other advantage of working with a third-party warranty provider is that they will do more detailed vetting on the contractor than typically what you can do as a homeowner. You know, as a homeowner, you can do things like check online reviews, check the Better Business Bureau. You can check with your state contractor licensing board to see if there have been any complaints filed with the state. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot you can do to look underneath the hood of the business. Whereas a third-party solar insurance or solar warranty provider is going to be able to look at the internal financials of the business, other more solar-specific performance data to really get an idea of, is that contractor on stable ground? Are they performing well? Are they profitable? And are they reliable long-term partners? So this has been a discussion on how to build the best solar power system. Choosing the right panel, choosing the right inverter, choosing the right battery, and most importantly, choosing the right contractor. Hey folks, as always, if you're getting good value from the videos that you watch here on Solar Surge, make sure you give us a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. That way, as we have new videos like this coming out, it'll come up on your feed so you can stay up to date with us. Now, of course, if you're a homeowner, if you're in the process of looking at different solar power and battery options for your home, if you need to get a price quote for a solar installation, or maybe you already have one or two quotes and you just need to get a comparison to make sure that you're getting the right equipment and getting the best deal, then as always, feel free to reach out to us on the link below there. You can set up a call with a solar expert, or just use the free online quote tool to see how much solar and battery storage costs in your area. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. I thank you all for spending some more time on the Solar Surge channel. And as always, I'm Joe Ordia, encouraging you to get prepared and be empowered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.